الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا تجعل الحزن والصعب إذا ما شئت سهلا اللهم آمين. I wanted to thank first of all Allah Azza wa Jalla for giving us the chance to be able to inshallah engage in such a beautiful event, and I want to thank the brothers who have organized this to make it possible for us to do this awareness and talk. This is not a one-way communication, so it is more interactive. So I would expect you and I want you to be involved because it is raising our awareness and broadening our perspective about mental health. Now, when mental health is brought to your attention, or someone say mental health, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? As I said again, the idea here is just have a practical understanding to mental health and how we're able to deal with it in our life, and we'll be adding the touch of an Islamic perspective to it. So when someone says mental health, what comes to your mind? Depression, good. That's one of the things comes to mind. Yes, young man.
A state of mind and well-being.
A state of mind and well-being. Beautiful. See, young people have more understanding than us. So a state of mind and well-being. Yeah. See, beautiful understanding to mental health. What else? This is, by the way, involving the sisters in the back. So what comes to your mind when mental health is mentioned? So mental health well-being versus mental illness. So what does mental illness mean and what does mental health mean? Or well-being? Fatigue, for instance, this is one of the things that are normally associated with mental health. Mental illness, I'm sorry, is most of the time associated with fatigue. Yes? Anxiety is also one of the symptoms that are exhibited normally in well-being mental health and in mental illnesses. Yes. Depression, it's the pandemic. This is the global pandemic. Depression is the global pandemic that people are struggling with. And the chances that everyone would be going through depression, in his life or once in a while, and especially here in Canada, we do seem to be dealing with this a lot. What else comes to your mind? Medications?
Negativity. Negative attitude.
Negativity, that's right. Negativity is something that comes along with mental illnesses, or one of the symptoms that people would be exhibiting as when they're not in a mental health well-being, where they're not in a good mental state. What else?
State of confusion.
Confusion, another symptom that is always associated with mental health.
Bipolar disorder.
Bipolar disorder is another mental illness. Anger. Yes, thank you so much, sister. See, now we're at least pinpointing to issues that are important that are we dealing with in our life. Anger is one of the major issues, at least, that come to my attention in my practice. And it is within the family, very destructive, very, unpleasant to deal with. What else? Frustration, that's right. I want to hear from the sisters because they deal with a lot of issues within the family. And last mental health workshop I was doing about family mental health. So this would be probably a chance for the sisters to share with us their thoughts and ideas. Yes, sisters? Anxiety? Well, I'm not sure if I can.
Irritable behavior.
Irritable behaviors, that's right. Irritable behaviors. Yes? Autism. Autism is also another mental illness that, especially in the young population, that is quite challenging. Yes, sir? schizophrenia is an extreme example of mental illnesses, whereby people will be exhibiting, illusions and be having, troubles adjusting their behaviors, and would be, causing a threat to themselves or others around them, and most of the time end up being treated in mental health settings or hospital settings. Yes. Split personality disorders. This is another mental illnesses. Now, as you can see, there's a wide variety of different symptoms and mental illnesses that is known to us. Now, mental well-being or mental health, unlike physical health, health requires from you to be physically fit, to be able to, to sustain your living. Mental health is about maintaining a well-being or a state of well-being whereby you're able to be able to function in a productive way in your life. Meaning to say, okay, there you go, alhamdulillah. Meaning to say, adapt to changes and cope with adversities. This is what mental health is associated with. Your ability to cope with the stress, adversaries, challenges in life, whether it's a challenge in the family or a challenge at work or in school. If you have a better ability to cope and adjust with challenges around you in your life, that means you have a better or a mental health, a good mental health or mental well-being, and also healthy relationships. And this is, including relationship within the family and relationships with people around you. Because after all, we're social beings. If you're seeing deficiency in your interaction with people around you, or with your social interaction with people around you, then there is indeed an issue that you need to pay attention to. It also, it relates to your productivity in life, whether that is in work or in school, or if you are a caregiver for a person who's suffering in their life. Let's say, Allah forbids, some families deal with a family member or a loved one with terminal illness or a long-term sickness. So if they have the ability to cope and adjust and deal with that in their life, then they have a healthy mental state or mental well-being. So as you can see, that quite the opposite to this is mental illnesses or mental illness. It is the health condition involving changes in emotions. People with mental illnesses are troubled with their emotions. They are also troubled in the way they think. Most of the time, their thinking patterns are not so healthy and would reflect onto certain actions in their life that prevent them from being able to live a productive life. And it also reflects on their behavior. Some people, like the sisters was saying in the back, anger is a behavior that is most of the time associated with mental illnesses. And trust me, many of my clients come to me primarily because of anger management issues. Some of them, by the way, come to be referred from the court, because the court would tell them you will not be getting off of your troubles unless you seek professional mental health and controlling your anger. Within the family members, when there's anger problems within the family, then most of the time the family would be having difficulties and issues, especially marital relationships. Or could be the combination of all these things together. So it could be that people are exhibiting emotional problems, exhibiting thinking problems, exhibiting behavior problems. All together will be causing what's so-called mental illnesses. Unlike the severe symptoms or issues that were presented by schizophrenia and bipolar or a clinical depression, these are all illnesses that requires most of the time intervention with medication. But there are also other illnesses that would be affecting the way you deal, with day-to-day activities in your life, and affects and impact your livelihood. So mental illnesses refers to collectively to all the diagnosable mental disorders, health conditions involving significant changes in the thinking, emotion, and behaviors, and also at the same time distress and problems functioning in social or work or family activities. So, in another word, if you are seeing that there is a troubled behavior in your life, or troubles into regulating your emotions, or you're having issues within your family or the social setting around you, people are not so friendly. They're always having problems with people around them. They always get into fights. They always get into altercation. They always get into problems with work and family, or in the neighborhood or in the community. So these are people that you need to pay attention to their behaviors, or seek some help to change the patterns of their thinking to be able to have more effective and functional life. So mental health is a continuum. So in other words, it is not a fixed issue. Sometimes it will be an optimum mental health. You wake up one morning feeling good about yourself. You go outside, you sing with the birds, and you go to work, with happy, a big smile on your face. You come back to work, from work to home, and you interact with people around you and your family members. There will be times when that's not happening. There will be times when you get up in the morning, you're dragging your feet out of the bed, out of home. You're having issues at work. You come back from work grumpy, and you also have issues at home. So it's a continuum. So whereby you swing or you go from one side to another side. What's optimal is to be in between, having a less stable, a state whereby you're able to deal with challenges, but at the same time you're able to have a good state of mind that enables you to control things and be able to deal with them. So, in another word, mental health is a foundation for emotions, thinking, communication, learning, resilience, hope, and self-esteem. Now, these are, by the way, the gauges in which you will be testing whether you're having or you're dealing with mental health issues or not. Many people ask me, so how would I know if I am having mental health issues? It's very simple. Are you resilient? Resilience is an important feature of a human being. Look into what's happening right now to our brothers and sisters in Gaza. One of the main things that we always observe from their behavior is their resilience. We wonder sometimes how are they able to come up with this resilience, the ability to stay positive despite of the negativity that they're living in. They're living in a war zone. They're seeing their family members being killed in front of their own eyes. They're unable to provide food for themselves nor their family members. They're unable to get the basic needs of their living, and they're always on the go, moving from one place to another place, dealing with their life, yet they're exhibiting resilience. So if you're having challenge with this feature in your life, then there is a problem. If you're having problems with dealing with your emotions are swinging, you're not in a very stable emotional status, positive one, then there is a problem. Your thinking patterns, if you're all the time thinking negative, if you're all the time seeing things in the wrong way, if you're always seeing things not right, then there is a problem that you need to look for help and get some attention. Communication is also a very important issue. In my practice, I find out that most of the troubles that people are having or dealing with comes primarily from the way they communicate. Especially primarily, by the way, in communication between the family members and most importantly, between the husband and the wife. Because each side have different way of communicating issues in their life, and if these issues were not understood properly, then they will be causing problems to the family. Learning abilities, also an adaptation, is an important issue, and also living in home and having a self-esteem. So mental health also is a key to personal and emotional well-being, relationships, and our contribution to the community or society around us. Most people who live with positive mental health are living, virtually effective family life. They're effective members of the community, and they're overall effective members of the society, which is something that we need not to ignore. We're part of the society in which we're living in. We take, and we also need to give a lot in return. So this is also an important issue that we need to keep in mind. So mental health, in another word, is a component of overall well-being. You will see that it's not only that you need to have a physically fit body, but you also need to have a mentally well-fit, mind that helps you to live and function in a positive way in your life. So now, mental health versus physical health. As one of the people mentioned that irritability, for instance, or fatigue. Fatigue is most of the time, if it's not coming from physical sickness, it's primarily coming from mental illnesses. Because depression, for instance, is a state in which you feel yourself, you do not have the energy to deal with issues you're dealing with in your life. You feel you're dragging your feet all the time, your hands are tied, you don't have the ability to do the things you normally would do easily in a day-to-day activities. You're always lag behind, you don't have the motive, you feel always, lack the motive, the enthusiasm to be able to, do things that are effective in your life. Some people come to me after they get tired from, the dealing with their medical doctors. The medical doctors tell them, listen, we've done all the blood work, we've done all the CT scan, we've done, all the possible tests for you, but there's nothing wrong with you. We can't help you. So there's, why don't you go see a psychotherapist? By the way, it's a psychotherapy, not physiotherapy. I think the one who designed the flyer wrote the physiotherapy, right? Yeah, so it's psychotherapy, not physiotherapy. I don't want to be getting into troubles with the College of Psychotherapy, because I'm a member of the College of Psychotherapy, not the College of the Physiotherapy. This is a totally different, body regulation. So there is a correlation between the mental health and the physical well-being, or the physical health. And as said, I have many cases. If we have the time, we can share some of them, whereby you see that some people are physically not feeling well. There's nothing wrong with them that medically could be detected. That is primarily, it has something to do with their mental health. Now, mental illnesses does not discriminate, and this is an important issue, because most of the time people tell me, we Muslims don't have mental health problems. The perception that because we're Muslims, because we read the Quran, or we memorize the Quran, for instance, does not necessarily say that you are immune from having mental health issues. The Prophet ﷺ, Allah has spoken in the Quran, فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ وَوَضَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ الَّذِي أَنْقَضَ ظَهْرَكَ. There are many ayat referring that sometimes we do have with certain states in the Quran and in our life that would be impacting our mental health. So there's now the perception about Muslims. Of course, we're not denying the fact that the Quran that's out of the question. We're not disputing that. But we're talking about day-to-day activities. We're talking about average person in life. There is a correlation, of course, between being a Muslim, and you'll see how my practice is primarily not only with pure mental health, but it's also integrating between mental health principles as well as Islamic, and I found that this is more effective. And many of the clients who come to me say, like from the beginning, they say, we chose to come to you because we need something that is related to our life as Muslims, someone who understands our culture, our perspective, our deen. And it is absolutely, we're not discounting that part, that spirituality or deen, religion, is an important component, but at the same time, we need to keep in mind that also, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. There are numerous ayat in the Quran speaks about mental health and how we need to be mindful about that, and how we're able to improve. If we were to be Quran readers with reflections, then most of the time we are able to maintain a positive, healthy mental state, and vice versa. So there is no discrimination between gender, geography, income, social status, race, ethnicity, religion, spirituality, orientation, gender orientation, background, or other aspects of cultural identity. So mental, but there are an important issue. While mental illnesses can occur at any age, 3/4 of all mental illnesses are being within the age of 24. Meaning to say, from my observation, and there are some studies I think endorsing that, the most vulnerable segment are adolescents. And the reason behind that is that adolescents go through a lot of stress in their life, being from their physical changes and emotional changes and hormonal changes in life, as well as from the expectations that they are combined with in the society we're living in. We're living in an era right now where adolescents have a lot of expectations from them in academic life or in social life. So this could be causing so much stress that could manifest most sometimes in aggression and schizophrenia, by the way, the extreme side of it, or they would be exhibiting some mental health issues that so if you're seeing teens or adolescents primarily having mental health issues, don't feel bad about it. Let them know that this is not something that is bad or stigma. Rather, tell them that this is something rather expected, and they can easily seek the help for it and get the support needed to be able to deal with it. So how we diagnose mental illnesses? Mental health conditions are treatable, and improvement is possible. It's not like the taboo or the thing, when someone, they're crazy, or they're not treatable. No, that's not true. It's like physical illnesses. You become sick, you seek treatment, and alhamdulillah, you will most likely be able to get the treatment. So many people with mental health conditions return to full functioning life. That's based on studies and research. Some mental illnesses is preventable. This is what's important, and I think this is part of why we're having an event like this. So be aware of what is behind mental health, and how can you prevent mental illnesses, certain mental illnesses, from being triggered to someone in their life. So treatment for mental illnesses, however, is based upon an individualized plan developed collaboratively with mental health clinician and the individual or the family members that work together to ensure that the treatment plan is effective and workable. So it includes psychotherapy, which could be talking therapy or listening therapy, medications or other treatments. It could be often a combination of medication as well as psychotherapy, which is more effective in some cases with certain illnesses, with severe depression cases or bipolar or some other issues. Even schizophrenia, to my perspective, is somehow starts with treatment of medication endorsed by psychotherapy and support. Complementary and alternative therapy also are increasingly being considered, just like yoga and meditation. But we, as Muslims, we might not be feeling comfortable to deal with this, but there's something called, I'll inshallah talk about mindfulness cognitive-based therapy, which is based on being engaged fully in your ibadat to enhance your treatment plan and help you to maintain a healthy lifestyle afterwards. Self-help and support can be very important to an individual by in providing coping and recovery as well as well-being. What I mean by that, a person needs to take the initiative. So you cannot drive the horse to the river unless the horse and force them to drink. They need to be willing to drink. And also, it is more effective to have a treatment plan that includes all the family members or the friends or the surrounding environment around that individual who's seeking the help. Lifestyle changes such as good nutrition most of the time. If there's improper nourishment or improper exercising or not enough or adequate sleeping, that this is could be affecting the mental health of the individual, and to a certain extent this is the general perception. However, for us, we believe in fasting. We believe in qiyam al-layl. Now there is a balance between getting enough sleep, but at the same time being able to fulfill your spiritual needs. As a matter of fact, one of the antidepressant is fasting, as some of the studies have shown. So, but in general, you need to be taking care of your nourishment, exercising, and sleeping to ensure that you have all what is needed to maintain a good, healthy mental state. A comprehensive treatment plan may be including individual actions, for example, lifestyle changes, support groups, or exercising to enhance recovery and well-being. There will be times when a person is needed to join a group like the AA for addiction problems, or to join support a group for for grieving, or for some even some other issues in life that people are struggling with. So this would take us to talk about some of the mental health illnesses that we need to that we come across a lot. When I first asked you what's mental health, the first thing comes to you is depression. And as I said, depression is a state of mind where people feel helpless, powerless. And in my assessment, there is a big correlation between shaitan's involvement in someone's life and depression. Shaitan's main attempt is to cripple you from being an effective person in your life, and vice versa. Islam and Iman and ibadat tends to take you out of negativity to become a very positive, energetic person. So you can see that if someone is exhibiting depression, the way to deal with it is to empower them from inside out and to be part of their overall well-being, rather than being supportive to shaitan. In other words, be in the positive side rather than being in the negative side. So you're able to empower them deal with with the issues they're dealing with in their life. So they're able to stand up once again and be able to function more effectively in their life. Stress and anxiety are also very common, and we're not talking about people they have anxiety, panic attacks. I have clients who are very professional, like people who are engineers. I had once a medical doctor coming to me. She's dealing with anxiety and panic attack, and these are normal issues because we're human beings. We're not immune from having these issues. And most of the time, the way to figure out what's causing this and deal with it would be through the treatment plan and getting back into their past and childhood and all the details. OCD, and this is very common, I think, term, at least for young people. OCD, right? You hear this a lot. Now, OCD is also another issue that very common, especially in our community when it comes to ibadat. You hear about people spending half an hour in the washroom, people spending 45 minutes reading only Fatiha, and they're unable to move forward in their salah. They're also obsessive with the cleanness. I've got cases where some people were not able to maintain the family as a result of their OCD with the cleanness. So these are all issues that are real. They're treatable, but they also could be causing disruption to people in their life. Family and couple problems. Most of the time, family and couple problems are considered as mental illnesses, would be resulting as from the issues that both or one side will be having in their life, that most of the time that are treatable and preventable even in the first place if people were to consider it more seriously. Trauma and grieving related issues, death and dying, these are issues we don't come across a lot in our life, but when they happen, they can cause some disruption to our life, and if it's not dealt with properly, there could be things that drag on in our life. Panic attacks, as I said, panic attacks are real. I've got many professionals who come to me. They feel tightness in their chest. They feel their heartbeats become so fast, and they are rushed to the emerge. And when they do the tests for them, they say, well, there's nothing wrong with you. Your blood pressure is normal. Your heart is functioning properly. But they say, oh, we're having this. I said, well, then we cannot deal with it medically. Then try to look for other sources or ways to deal with it, which most of the time treatable within the treatment of the psychotherapy. Interpersonal issues, people are struggling with certain issues: body image, self-image, self-esteem, success in life. And I do have a lot of, especially among the young population, who come to me a lot for issues like this. And alhamdulillah, I'm so happy and excited for them when they come, because they come to seek, empowerment for their life as Muslims from Islamic sources. And this is what's important, in this issue. Now, I could share with you, a practical, story that I have dealt with in the past, and this is primarily just to give you an idea of. I had a Muslim young man in his late 20s. He's a professional with a family of 3 kids. He's been lately having panic attacks, stress and anxiety. The first time he had one, he was rushed to the hospital. He was examined. Nothing was wrong with him. He did further tests with his family doctors. Everything was okay. His issues did not disappear when continued to haunt him. Once in a while, he went for a spiritual retreat to Mecca, and then when he went to Umrah, he felt good for a while, but then when he come back again, he felt good. He was there and continued to feel good for some time after his return. Unfortunately, a few weeks after his return from his trip, the issues that he was dealing in haunted him. He came back again, relapsed once again. He noticed that if he goes on a trip outside Canada, like back home where the weather is much more warmer, he would have the same good feeling he had in Mecca. Things will change shortly after he returned back to his normal activities in Canada. He thought that he might have episode of depression as a result of the cold Canadian winter. Once one of the friends recommended for him to see professional psychotherapist. He did not like the idea. He did not believe it. And then eventually at the end, he was convinced and he came, for therapy. What do you think what the problem is with this woman or this person?
What's the question? What do you think again?
Yeah, what do you think are this person, the cause for his panic attacks? What do you think behind it?
Maybe over.
Spirituality, because you think that because he went to Mecca and then when he was there, he felt good, and when he turned back, things went back to normal. Spirituality.
Work stress.
Work stress, that's another issue because he works in a stressful job. What else? Yes? Anxiety. But what's behind it, Uncle? We know what triggers this anxiety in his mind.
He has already.
Yeah, he has a built-in anxiety. Exactly.
His situation.
Right, it's true.
Going here and there and listening this and that.
Right. Sisters in the back, what do you think? What is behind this, these issues that this person is dealing with in his life? Yep. Lifestyle, possibly. So you're saying the surrounding environment that have caused lifestyle. Exactly, lifestyle, the way he lives his life could be impacting this. What do you guys think? Sisters in the back, I want to hear from the sisters. Maybe can someone, when they speak, you can, just speak it back to me. Any thoughts from the sisters? Like,
Following the same routine.
same routine over and over again. Like, you'll be surprised to hear that the way we dealt with these issues is we needed to go back deep in his life because our mind is similar to a computing machine. By the way, 90% of our mind's function and functions is our unconscious. So, like, we have a computing machine here, that we have an operating system and we have the Windows, right? The interface. So you can think of your mind that the operating system is the 90% of your mind's function. What I mean by that is that most of the time when you talk and walk, do you have a problem? You're able to do it, but walking for you was not a built-in. You need to learn it. People are born, they start crawling, and then they gradually stand up, and then they take a few steps and they fall off, and then eventually they're able to master the skill of walking, right? It takes them a long time, but eventually they're able to master it. Now, the same is to be said about many activities. When you drive, you don't think while you drive. Most of the time, you can, drive and talk to someone, or you can, text messaging. Don't do that because it's not, good. But you're able to do it. Why you're able to do it? Because you have mastered the skill of, driving, and becomes, by default. It's a built-in mechanism. And only 10% is what in your mind is alive. What you think of. How do I need to deal with certain situations? Now, what happened most of the time is that as we grow up to learn and adopt things, we catch some errors. Once in a while you receive, from your phone or from Windows an update. What's the update? It's fixing problems. So you download these updates, you restart your system, and then your phone becomes more effective. So the same is to be said about the patterns of our thinking. There are some codes in our mind that are built in the 90% that are not healthy. They were adopted from our childhood or an experience that we dealt with in our life, and then they remain in the back. We're unaware of them, but they're affecting our lifestyle. So the way to deal with that is to try to get to where this pattern, where's this thinking is coming from, and try to highlight it and deal with it. And then from there, you're able to fix it and restart the system by doing some, practices in the therapy, so you're able to adopt to a new healthy lifestyle. In the case of this person that I was talking about, that person, he had unresolved trauma in his life. He was, so attached to his family members. They had, a loss of a family member, and then eventually the grieving was not done properly. As a result of this, he continued to have issues suppressed in the back of his mind, and then eventually they were, increased as a result of his work, stressful work style, because it was a professional work in a very stressful environment. His going outside to Mecca was a Tylenol, helped him to get some relief, but did not deal with the core of the problems. The issues that he would be seeing once in a while could trigger these panic attacks. He would rush to the hospital. Like, everything is fine. We can't deal with this. There's nothing wrong with you. So, but what is the hospital is unable to diagnose are these patterns of thinking in the back of his mind that needs to be adjusted and altered. Alhamdulillah, with the therapy, we were able to get to the bottom of what he's dealing with, and the errors and the patterns of his thinking, and we were able to get to the point where, okay, here's what you're having, here's how we can fix it, and here's how we're able to create a new healthy lifestyle. So this is what I'm just giving that to you analogy between the mind and our mind and the computing machines. Now, I am mindful of the time, so I guess I will be stopping here and give you the chance to ask questions related to what you have heard, or issues that you think that you need more clarification on and related to mental health. So we're able to finish on the time to be able to know that there's like food after this and then solve their shop. So, do you have any questions that you wanted or comments you would like to share? Yes, please go ahead.
How do you deal with a person who's in denial?
That's a good question.
Like most people which I see who have mental health problems
Are in denial.
You cannot make them go to a therapist.
It's true.
Like you said, it's a taboo.
Yeah.
They deny, they're in denial, and they're adults, so how can you do that?
Yeah, so, and this is why we're having something like this. To first of all, diffuse this perception that mental health is not for crazy people, and crazy people are not, people we can deal with in the community. Number two, that could be that this person is having a personality disorder that is, too severe. He could be having narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. Now, one of the professors I worked with, they said, if you think you can change a narcissist, you're a narcissist yourself. So with people like this, most of the time, there's not much you can do. But, unfortunately, they will come to therapy at the point when they feel that they have lost everything. Many people come to me when it's like almost too late. They come to me, if they're having problems with the family. The other side say to them, like, enough, khalas, this is it. I'm done. I can't take it anymore. And then they wake up and say, okay, maybe we can seek some help and therapy. When they come at that stage, it's like next to giving a life to a person who's in life support. It's becoming too difficult. So go back to your point. Yes, indeed, there are people who are adamant. They're not willing to accept. And unfortunately, this is what happened to people of Mecca. Like Abu Jahl, do you think he did not know the Prophet ﷺ was speaking the truth? He knew. He was he knew that the Prophet ﷺ is a prophet of Allah and the Quran is true. And he even said it. We were with Bani Hashim and like revelry horses. We do this, we do this. They did this, we did that. Now someone from them is saying, I'm prophet. How are we going to come up with something like that? So he knew it. But he did not want to admit. Fir'aun, he admitted the fact that Musa is a prophet of Allah. And he knew that he's not God. And that's why when the time comes for him to, and he's drowned, آمنت بالذي آمنت به بني إسرائيل. He said, I believe in the God that Bani Israel is believing in. Now, when you're drowning, when the Malaika was putting the mud in his mouth so he would not be able to say the word of kalima. So there are unfortunately people that are not willing to accept. Now in this case, people who are around them need the support. These are the people we can work with. Today I had a case where the same thing. One side of the family was so adamant, so I had to provide the support to the other side and give them the empowerment and exactly how to cope and adjust and keep going in life. Because in family settings you have a structure, and unfortunately that structure is connected, and you cannot isolate one side from the rest of the family. It's like a system. So if one side is dysfunctional, dysfunctionality spills on the family members. And that's why you need to create a system in which by you're able to create a healthy lifestyle for all family members that will enable everyone to be able to live a normal life.
Have you come across a case where fear works on these people?
I'm sorry?
Fear.
Fear, yes, exactly.
Like
intimidation.
Like if they are afraid or made afraid of something, does it work with such people?
You mean they're afraid of coming forward?
Like putting fear of something.
Oh, people have fears in their mind? No, I think
you want to deal with a person. You said before that such a person, when it comes to therapist, is almost at the point of no return.
Right, yes, exactly.
Does fear work on them?
Yeah, it could
That's
be.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, it could be that they're afraid. There could be fear in their mind, and at the same time, fear. If you talk about fear, if you allow me to just change a little bit and talk about fear and intimidation as one of the problems, mental health issues. Look at right now. I don't like to talk politics a lot, but people like Netanyahu, like Trump, they prey on fear. They create the state of fear so they are able to thrive. If you don't elect me, if I'm not there, your life is gone. Your life is in chaos. They create fear so that they're able to create, the agenda they need to implement in their life. So yes, indeed, there are some people who are afraid from coming forward for a treatment because they could be seen or diagnosed and be seen as failures, which is also another a problem. Or they could be also creating that fear among the family members that cripple others from being able to come forward for treatment or to be able to function properly in their life. Okay, any other? Yes, please go ahead.
Usually this kind of a thing comes at the age of 24. But what I notice here in Canada is mostly at the high school, it's mostly at grade 12 or just in the beginning of the university. Most of the kids, especially the immigrants, they have
adolescents are, why adolescence in specific? Because adolescence is a very critical stage of growth in the lifespan. in the adolescency time, the physical appearance of adolescents, changes fast. Like they become so fat, so tall. They become, big. If they're like, boys, they're, build muscles. If they're, girls, their physical changes, a lot. And there's a lot of growth built inside, and there's also a lot of hormones changes. And along with that also, there's the expectations from, the society. They go to school. Their schoolwork is heavy. There's a lot of, expectations from them in their life. The norms, the cultural expectations, the societal and the peer pressure. So all these are factors that create so much stress. And in my assessment, and I've said it many times ago, that especially our teens are caught between the cultural values of their own background, the societal norms, as well as the religious norms. And they're caught between these three forces, and the stress that these forces are creating to them will be manifest in aggression, in depression, and sometimes problems with their family or in their school, or sometimes could be leading to them fleeing from home. So this is an important issue for parents, at least, or for the community to pay attention that this stage is a very critical stage that needs a lot of emotional support and mental health support to our teens. I think we're not in time.
One last question from the
we'll give the chance for one last question for the sisters, or comment maybe for them. If not, we have someone over here who wants to comment.
Is it appropriate for your child to see a non-Muslim psychotherapist?
That's a beautiful question. Thank you so much for raising this. Is it appropriate for any person to go for mainstream psychotherapy? Not I'm promoting my business, but trust me, sister, many of my clients come to me and say, we got tired and sick from the mainstream psychotherapists. Many therapists from the mainstream refer to me, like today when I was coming here, I got an urgent message from one of the agents I deal with. This is like, I don't want to mention the agent name, but this is a big company, which part of what they do, they provide mental health. They sent me an urgent request. Are you able to deal with what is happening in the in university campuses from the Muslim students who are demonstrating in the universities? I immediately, while I was driving, I said one word: yes. This is it. So going back to your question, mainstream therapy is based on models of therapy, but it's influenced to a certain extent with the culture and the faith. So when you go to the mainstream, these two elements, the culture and the faith, are eliminated from the treatment process. And these two main important factors are essential to integrate a very healthy and inclusive treatment plan. So whether it's an adult, or it's a child, or an adolescent, when you create a comprehensive model of treatment that's based on, it's culturally sensitive, religiously sound, and also effective, then chances you will be having, inshallah, a better outcome in your treatment. So the short answer to this, please, there are many organizations that provide mental health services and support. And alhamdulillah, we have many mental health counselors and therapists. When I first started my work, people were making fun of me. They're saying, "Look, do you think you're going to be making your living?" I said, "Alhamdulillah, inshallah." Now we're seeing an expansion in this as a result of the awareness of mental health. Yes, Akhi. One last thing, okay. To black, yes, but in a way. Now, most of the people come to me saying, "Though we have, jinn or mas or sihr," and I say to them, "Yes, I do believe in that because it's mentioned in the Quran." But 90% of the cases are related to mental health, not to magic or sihr or jinn interaction.
Thank you.
How about if we can have the food and continue to have chat, because I know this is something that people like. I'm not sure if this would be possible. So we can serve the food and just still chat. Yeah.
Maybe as a condition where the person, like the student, lot of students commit suicide, maybe you see it and you wrote that. What that can be, how that can be prevented for the students.
The student's life is. I said you heard saying suicide.
Society.
Yes. Okay. Okay, well, it's now let's talk because I know the all is mashallah. The echo makes it difficult for me to hear people speaking in the back. Now, the brother here said like suicide is becoming an issue like adolescent population, like student population. Now, suicide is unfortunately something we cannot be in denial with. When someone exhibiting or talking about suicide, please take it serious and reach out immediately to many resources available within the society and our community. There is a suicidal prevention hotline. We do have also, mental health hotline within our community, Nasiha. Have you heard of it? Nasiha is, alhamdulillah, a very, active mental health organization trying to serve, the needs of our community. There's just Google suicide prevention or suicide, mental health line. You'll prompt immediately with so many resources available for you. Immediately, like 1-800 numbers, so you are able to call right on the spot. This is a nutshell what I can advise you to, about suicide and mental health. It is real. It is not, as we believe it and perceive it back home. It is something, come on. No. If someone is talking about it, then it is an issue that they need attention. Deal with it. If you're unable to deal with it at a personal level, deal with it, with the professional support. Reach out for professionals who are able to help you out with it. Any issues, or we just conclude? Go ahead. Yes, of course, correlation between pandemic, stress and mental health. During the pandemic, the mental health, problems shooting up to the sky. There are seasons, by the way, for mental health. Summer, relatively, is a very, quiet time. Winter, which is, what we have here, is most of the time increases the mental health problems within our community.
We went to measures as well, like using over the students.
Yeah.
How parents should behave with them, like when they see that this is the time when it is coming. So how they should behave with them.
Understanding. Just lower, just accept them and understand their perspective. Because most of the time, your perspective is here and their perspective is there. So rather than expecting them to come to you, you need to lower yourself to understand what they're dealing with. We're not talking about compromising your principles and values, but at least understand their perspective and the challenges they're dealing with and trying to help them out with it. If you're unable to deal with that, that's it. We have Nasiha, Nasiha as an organization that provides mental health support. Many masajids nowadays are trying to offer mental health support. If, worst case scenarios, reach out for professional help. Most of the professional help, mental health, like my practice is covered through extended health insurance. So it's fully covered by extended health insurance. People will not have to pay from their bucket for this.
Most of the time in these cases, they comes because of the cultural and the religious beliefs and the background. And there is always a disagreement between the kids and the parents, right?
Yeah.
And that is very because the parents cannot compromise and the kids being exposed.
That's my point. So there has to be a way where you're able to maintain your principles and values, but at the same time be able to give them the room of their growth. I know the brother wants to say something, inshallah we'll wrap it up from there. Or the same question about teens. So,
what we should do, how we should tackle that teenagers' mental state.
Right. In a nutshell, teens are going through a lot of stress. The way to deal with it is by, reaching out to them. Let them feel comfortable to connect with you. Now, chances that we're not able to connect with them. If you're unable to, alhamdulillah, many masajids have youth groups. And this is why we need to reach out for the masajid. And that's why we need to empower our masajid. There's always, like in my case, I was in charge for a youth group. Alhamdulillah, I've done a lot of work with them. Now, mashallah, they're now responsible individuals in the community. But the point I'm trying to make, most of the time, the activists in the community, in the masjid, the young people in their 20s, university students, a little older, they're able to connect more with your own children than yourself. So reach out for them, ask them for help, and if they're unable to, reach out for professional help. So take the first line of reaching out to the masjid. See the activists in the community, like high school active students, university active students. Let them, take the first initiative of connecting with your child. Because of the age difference, it's a bit difficult for you to be able to understand it, or a bit difficult for them to connect with you. So you need to find someone who is able to connect with them easily. And that would get said, like someone closer to their age, but at least has some wisdom, which is a bit difficult to find nowadays. Yeah. So should we? Yes, go ahead, please.
I just have a question. What are the signs? If somebody hides it very well, are there any signs that you have to watch for?
Yeah, the ones I was talking about. Resilience, emotions, behavior, patterns of thinking. If you notice that these are not things that the person is managing well in their life, then there's a problem. You know, I don't mind to have something more to talk about adolescents specifically, but I want it next time to be in a way that we're able to give the chance for the sisters to communicate more effectively, inshallah. Because I know that they're sitting in the back, they wanted to say, but they're unable because of the distance. So inshallah, we can inshallah have something, a better setting than this, because the echo, mashallah, in this hall is, I can barely even hear myself. When the brothers are talking, the echo makes it impossible for me to understand what they're talking about. طيب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك واصل سلف المسلمين على رسول الحق والصبر. Maybe I can throw an advertisement. As I said, I'm a registered psychotherapist. I have my own practice, and I'm covered with my services is covered with extended health insurance. To those who have extended health insurance, it's fully covered by that, inshallah. If not, I do have a sliding scale for families who are unable to pay the full fees. And there are, as I said, like Nasiha, they have the same thing. I'm also providing services for Nasiha. I know there are some other organizations that are available providing this. The idea here is this, let's defeat this stigma about mental health, and let's get some support for our family members, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, jazakallah khair.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it here.
No, I think it's his fault.
I know that you don't have any more time.